Welcome to Life Talk, our monthly podcast that dives into crucial topics concerning the sanctity of life. I'm Bishop John Dolan, your host today, and I'm assisted by Marina Salvador-Velazquez from the Office for Respect Life Ministries. And today's guests are Georgia Hamlin and Maggie Cuevas from All In, a ministry for people with special needs and their families. It's a program that started at Our Lady of Joy Parish in Carefree. All In is now collaborating with other parishes to provide meaningful religious education and spiritual experiences, really a formation experience with fellowship and social opportunities and advocacy in the Diocese of Phoenix. So really glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
And I'm just curious, how did this program begin?
Yeah, great question. So All In began about a year ago at Our Lady of Joy, and we just kind of felt the need to address people with disabilities, and it hit close to home for me because I have a daughter with Down syndrome. And so through Sanctity of Life, we kind of started this program and rallied to see if we could get something going. And here we are a year later with a bunch of families and lots under our belt.
Where there is a need, the church should be there. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way right off the bat. And so it does take some people who are really, really embedded in particular cultures, and in this case, the culture of people with special needs, to kind of move the church along. So I really appreciate the fact that you're doing that. Now, I understand too that you're collaborating with other parishes other than Our Lady of Joy. So what are those parishes?
Yeah, so we are collaborating now directly with two parishes. So Our Lady of Joy now works with St. Rose and St. Gabriel's. And it's just been a wonderful collaboration. We have the priests come to the events and really support the parishioners that are, they're seeing in church and developing a relationship with them. We're trying to kind of work with St. Bernadette's now to kind of establish another hub, right, to reach more people and make a difference where we can.
Yeah, I think St. Gabriel and St. Rose are your next-door neighbors. St. Bernadette is a little bit different, so that really is taking it into another direction. But I'm wondering also, Marina, do we have other programs similar to All In here in the Diocese of Phoenix?
Well, not exactly as All In, but I know the Office for Discipleship is working with catechists in that regards to be able to bring some of those components to the diocese as well, to the population. Maggie, when I was listening to you, I couldn't avoid thinking of how my own family, my own experience, my nephew was born deaf, and at the age of 1, we find out that he's deaf, and my sister doesn't have any clue of how to handle this special need, right? And so, how do you bring how easy is for families to accept? Like, if you reach out to them and you say, "Hey, we have this ministry," are people open to participate? Because you work with the family, not just with the person with the disability, but obviously, but with their families.
Right. Yeah. What we're finding is families are very, very receptive. So what we're kind of working with our priests at the church is are to identify the families that would be a great fit for us, and then provide them with our information, or we can reach out to them. But I think when we started a year ago, we had like 8 or 9 families, and now we're up to 35.
It was kind of a for me, because I was a parent, I really wasn't that involved in my own parish.
Right.
I didn't feel like we fit in that
Right.
great. And it's hard when you first go because you don't know anybody and you don't know what it's about. But it has been such a blessing, not only to my Katie, but to our family, because now you feel like you're part of something and part of a family. And so it grows from there. So literally, I went from our first Christmas party, which was a year ago. I literally cried all the way down Pima, saying, I just experienced the Lord. And it was that great. And so I tell everybody, and everyone's that same way. And Maggie has done an amazing job and putting it all together. And it's so fun. Yeah. And our kids feel so welcome. And so they bring the Spirit of Christ to us.
Right.
And they show us.
Yeah.
They show us how to be better people. And now people are recognizing that.
Well, they have a place in the church. And the thing that I've been reflecting on more recently, especially as it relates to human dignity and just life in all its forms, is that everything that about God is that he has discovered that, or we have discovered, that God finds us worth it. Mm-hmm. Every person is worth it and worthy of his attention. And sometimes we forget. Our eyes are not focused on everyone is worthy of attention, and I really like that. I was in San Diego almost all my life, and during that time I worked in a parish that had a program called. It was a part of the L'Arche program. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, or L'Arche, and the idea was it was. An idea where there were three groups that would work together, those who had special needs, and they were not just children. I was always reminded of that many times those with special needs might have kind of a childlike flavor, if you will, but in essence, they're adults and many times older than I am. But so you would have those with special needs, and then you had the family, and that was the second leg of the stool, and then you had the friends. And that's what I think I found also with All In when I visited you, that it was really all three components, and that really made that relationship beautiful, I thought.
Yeah, we definitely totally spot on with kind of what our goals are, is just to embrace the family, to be present with the people who have special needs, whatever it looks like, to meet them where they are and continue walking with them in faith and learn as much as you're trying to teach.
And our volunteers, we have the most amazing volunteer people.
We do. We have over 50
and
volunteers.
Brings the whole parish together. The whole parish supports us now.
I think that's a big piece of the whole puzzle. And it really, in this particular year, this Jubilee year of hope, as we're leaning into this, we're seeing that there is a need to reach out to people who are often lost in the shuffle. And it's not only for the people who are being served, but it's also for, as you say, the volunteers. Their hearts are changed. It's a life-changing way of being a Christian. Many times people will do things. They'll roll up their sleeves, say on Thanksgiving or maybe a special day, but to have this ongoing relational experience with others, especially with people maybe with special needs, it's a life-changing way of being.
It's outpouring your heart every time you're serving. Sometimes we feel like we're doing a favor, but we're not doing a favor. We're doing us a favor. Yeah. We're receiving. And I have realized that the more we give, our heart expands, right? And to be able to give every single day and giving is just it's not a burden, but it's a gift and it's a grace. And to be able to do that, what you guys do is so special. And I know, Georgia, you said you have a daughter who is 45. How is it like your experience? How has it been like for you?
For 45 years.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been quite a journey.
It's been quite a journey. It's been a struggle. It's still a struggle. It's a a lot of tears, a lot of anxiety. It affects your entire family, your other children. It affects your relationship with your husband. It affects you in every way. But I read an interesting thing one day. I was reading, asking God, why does this have to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading an article, and I don't know if it was a priest or a theologian, whatever, said people like Katie and Evie are they're martyrs for God,
Mm-hmm.
and they do this. They suffer to show us how to get to heaven. They are the gate that opens us
Mm-hmm.
to Him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think my faith would ever have been as strong. My children's faith would not have been as strong if we had not known and experienced what it's like to take care of someone who's so in need, but also so pure in their love. They are just purely loving, everything God wants you to be. That's who they are.
They're living icons of everything God wants us to be. Perfect example. That's wonderfully said. Beautiful. I really do feel as though these opportunities, the all-in, these are opportunities for family members and caregivers to get together as well.
Mm-hmm.
We had something similar in San Diego in one of my parishes where for religious education, it was once a week, and it was as much for those with special needs as it was for the parents to just kind of sit and talk and share their ups and downs in their ministry, in essence, their life with people with special needs. So I found it to be very beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're finding that too. I mean, the fellowship of fellow parents and caregivers. And one of the things that has been really interesting to learn is that a lot of our members are not Catholic. So we're reaching out in the surrounding community, and we're getting people from other denominations and beliefs, but they still feel the love when they come with us. But the basic need of that fellowship and acceptance is there, so we can just really lead by example.
Well, the nice thing is about you can even do a little catechesis, but often that's for those with special needs, but it's also for the others, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all embracing, full on Catholic.
Right.
It can be. You can read a piece from Scripture, even if it's an interreligious experience. You can read maybe a psalm, and then there's a little bit of chatting about it. You can reenact a play from something in the Old Testament or whatever. Those were some of the things that I remember.
Yeah.
And it's great. And just these hands-on experiences, I think, are just important.
Yeah, we're really just excited to keep diving in more and more with the community. We've had great leadership at our church, and now with the collaboration, we're really seeing leadership from the top where, relationships are being developed so that when the priests see, our all-in friends at Mass, they can acknowledge them and set examples for others to see how they should be treated. And we're finding new ways to involve some of our friends at Mass. So we have 2 of our members are now altar servers. We have a greeter. Katie is our greeter. We have some of our special needs. We'll bring down the gifts every week, and they're wanting to be at church. Yeah. And then the families are coming back, which is amazing.
That's fantastic. We had another experience. I keep going back to this one particular parish that was rarely involved, very much like Our Lady of Joy is here. But the previous pastor had invited one of the special needs fellows, who was actually about 5 years older than I was, to be an extraordinary minister of communion. And it was his job, Danny. It was his job. He still does it, to go and get the hosts from the tabernacle and bring it down, and then he would be the one to offer the communion to the extraordinary ministers, and then he would go down and distribute communion as well. And it was, and there was a priest that chastised the pastor for doing that. He felt as though that wasn't, why was he doing that? It was really amazing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to learn.
They have a gift, Bishop. These guys have such a gift. I've told Maggie this story. I am a Eucharistic minister, and I wear a cross when I'm serving.
Right.
And the first time, I don't really have any idea what Katie's experience,
right,
other than she just is who she is, and she's
right.
loving. But she took that cross and put it in her hand when she first saw it, and she kissed it 3 times, the crucifix. Yeah. And I thought, does she know?
Yeah.
Does she know? What does she know? And sometimes she said, we were in one of our all-in things, and they had the Jesus, I Trust in You poster up on the wall. And there was a harpist there, and we took her over to see the harpist, thinking she would be excited to that. Wasn't. She called me over, Mom, 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 Mom. And she said, look. And I thought, what is she seeing?
Yeah.
It's just, it was a poster. But why did that, there was some connection that they have that we don't have to God.
Definitely.
And when you work with them, you see that.
So you're saying that she left the harpist in the dust, right?
She left the harpist in the dust. She was all for the Lord.
I'm wondering, Marina, what else are we doing, perhaps in the diocese, or to tend to this? Marina, you being from the Office for Life, what else are we doing in reaching out to people with special needs? Or
right now, Maggie was my contact for people with special needs, and we're looking at supporting you in whatever the needs, whatever it is that you're doing. And with that, I want to ask you, how people want to volunteer. How? What can they do? What do you look for?
We have open arms, so we accept any volunteer that's obviously been set trained. But you can volunteer by contacting the Our Lady of Joy office. We're also on their website. And we also post all of our events on the Catholic Sun site,
Yeah.
And so that's another good opportunity. If you have someone with special needs in your family, if you want to volunteer, you can contact Marina and get in touch with us, but our arms are open. We're learning, what the needs of our group are. There's a couple at Mass that is deaf, so we are putting on a sign language workshop and recognizing that, kind of like what you said, Bishop, of finding the people who kind of get lost at times. So reaching out to other populations of people who kind of get swept under. And so we're doing a sign language workshop. We're going to learn signs about the songs at Mass so that they can participate. But the other area we are really exploring is doing a caregiver event in February. So we are going to put on our first caregiver retreat, and just recognizing the struggles of being a caregiver day in and day out. But it's open to any caregiver, not just specifically for someone as a parent or caregiver of special needs. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really very important piece, and it really goes back to your title, All In, right?
Yeah.
We should all be all in on this. Going back, returning to the idea that every person on the face of the earth is worth our attention.
Yes.
If that's true for God, it should be true for us. So I'm really thrilled that the two of you are making this happen, making it a reality, and we need more of it. The fact is, I do know that there are some other parishes that have a semblance of this, but we need to grow this.
Yes.
And whatever we can do to make it happen, we just need to make it happen. So I want to say thank you for joining us today for Live Talk. And please like and subscribe and send us your ideas in the comments section for future episodes. And I'm really happy that you even mentioned the Catholic Sun. So please see us at the Catholic Sun, and have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.